Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to teach you guys how to operate and take full advantage of a Garmin Nuvi 650, 660, 670 and 680 GPS. So there's the Garmin. This is how it looks. The the antenna is flip up. You flip it up and it's one of the strongest antennas in the most compared to most Garmins, because it has an external, or I should say separate antenna. So it's really strong with reception. So it's a great GPS if you live somewhere where the GPS satellite signals are weak. This is the right choice for you. And of course it has so many other features which I'm going to get into in just a second. So here's what you need to know about a Garmin Nuvi 660, 670, 680 GPS. Okay, so this is the docking base, or I should say the cradle, where the GPS unit is docked on. This is what you mount on the vehicle windshield, and you snap this onto that like that, and you could move around the GPS. This is the power cable, which actually provides power to the GPS. Obviously I have mounted a microphone here in order for us to listen to the beeps of the GPS, but this is not a part of the GPS. So once you mount the GPS to the base, it will automatically power on. So you don't have to press the power switch, which is up here. You don't necessarily have to press that. Once you mount it like that, it will power up automatically. Now this GPS is modified, or I should say it has software and maps and points of interest for trucks, but you could have this for a bicycle, you could have it for a bus, you could have it for a car, you could use it for anything. This happens to be for a truck right now, set up for a truck. So once the GPS is on, you have to agree to that. If you don't agree to that, it will automatically disappear. So it just gives you that warning. There you go, it automatically disappeared. But in most GPSs you have to click on agree for it to disappear, and this is a very unusual case where you don't have to click on it. It will disappear by itself. Okay, before you continue to your route or start to navigate, you have to go to settings and modify the GPS to your specific needs. So here's how you do it. Click on the settings, which is the wrench icon. You have to set up everything you see here to your specific need. So first let's go to map. Now the map, you want to the map to show most amount of details, like most, more, normal, less, least. If you choose most, you get all the streets, all small little streets and alleys, versus more, which only shows some streets, and normal, which shows major roads and fewer streets, and so on. So always it's good to choose most. And the map view, you could choose a 3D view, which is like three-dimensional. You could choose north up, which is like that. You could choose track up, whichever direction you're going will be on the top of the screen. So the 3D is the best one to choose, my recommendation. Okay. Now map outline shows where you have been, like previous tracks, which I don't recommend. It will create confusion. Vehicle is a type of vehicle you're driving, which you need to choose. Now this vehicle is just the image of the vehicle. The settings is in a different area. So currently you could choose a car, you could choose a little truck, pickup truck, you could choose like an arrow, you could choose like a truck as let's click no, okay. So you could choose a green truck, and you could choose an RV. This is an RV right there. You could choose whichever one you like that meets your specific needs. Okay, all right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave it at that. So I'm gonna hit cancel, leave the red truck. Now map info. Map info shows you what version your map is. Now this has the latest 2018.2 map, which includes Eastern and Western United States and Canada, so it's full North America. You're probably gonna ask, why is it split in two? The reason for that is because the map of North America, the 2018 version map of North America is so massive, it's so huge, it's so big that there's no way it can be fit on an SD card or an internal memory. So half of it is on an internal memory, the other half is on SD card. That's why it's split in two. Okay, so now let's go back and go to system settings. The system settings, this WAS and EGNOS is for Europe. You have to leave it off. Don't worry about that. Safe mode is off, which is, let me explain what safe mode is. If you choose safe mode off, you can operate the GPS when you're driving. If you choose safe mode on, the GPS will not allow you to punch in addresses or do anything when the car is in motion, when the vehicle is in motion. So for safety, it's good to have it on, but if you're an expert driver, you can leave it off. So that's what that is. Garmin lock is very, very important. If you lock this GPS to a certain, it's currently, so you can read, it's self-explanatory. It will allow you to punch in 4-digit number, but you can only set it when you have full GPS signal. Why? Because the Garmin lock will only operate unless you have a GPS signal, because if you forget your code, you can come back to that specific location and it will unlock automatically. I don't like engaging Garmin lock because you never know if you forget the code and you forget where you set up the code, then your GPS will be no better than a doorstop. So it's good for theft protection, but if a thief is about to steal something from your vehicle, I don't think he will think twice if it's locked or not. He will just take it, and if it didn't work for him, he'll throw it in the trash. So that's why I don't recommend it. It will create problems, but if you want to engage it, you could always do that. Okay, touch tone is good. Always leave it on, because if it is on, everything you punch in, it will make the beep. See that? See, now there is no beep. Now there is beep, so I like it. I like the beep. Okay. Oh yeah, one more thing. This simulator is when there is no GPS signal, you turn the simulator on, so the GPS assumes your speed. The simulator is only good if you're going through a tunnel where this GPS signal is like next to zero, and at the speed that you are entering the tunnel, the GPS will assume your distance inside the tunnel based on the entrance speed. So it can assume where you are inside the tunnel when you have zero GPS signal. Or if you want to use the GPS indoors, it comes in handy. But I like it off. I always like the GPS to receive signals from the antenna. Okay? Alright, so now we go to locale. This is for voice and language. So you can choose different languages, American English. Any language that has TTS at the end means text to speech. That language will speak the street names. For example, instead of telling you turn right, it will say turn right on Broadway. Or instead of telling you turn left, it will tell you turn left on 2nd Street, like that. So it's good to have TTS, that is text to speech settings. It's a good feature to have, all right? And this is the time, wherever you are, you set up the time. And this is the miles or kilometers. If you're in Europe or other countries, you choose kilometer. In the United States, you choose miles. The unit of measurements is what it is. Okay. All right. So that's display now. With display, color mode, daytime. If you choose nighttime, this is the screen will go dark, and all the the settings will go like dark blue or whatever. So it's for daytime use, it's good to use daytime. For nighttime, it's good to use nighttime. However, here's the deal. If you put it on automatic, it will automatically go to nighttime when it's dark. So that's actually probably the best option. So I'm going to choose nighttime because I think for camera videography that is much more clear. All right. So now we go to screen calibration. Screen calibration is very important, so that, for example, if you're pressing, entering an address and you're pressing B, and instead of B, the letter next to B comes, that's when you need screen calibration. I'm going to teach you. Let me go back. Let's say if I'm going to enter an address, and I'm going to spell state, and I'm going to spell California, and I put C, instead of C, D is pressed, or J, because it's off calibration. That's when you need to do screen calibration. And the screen calibration is done like this. Let me teach you screen calibration. So you go to, hold on, okay, there you go, there. Let me go to display, and I go to calibration, calibrate, and then I have to follow the dot. I don't like to do it with my finger because I want to have a pointy item, which is this little stylus. Okay. Okay, so there is the calibration completed. I'm going to go back to daytime because I was getting reflection. Alright, so calibration, and then splash screen is what comes when you turn on the GPS. What comes currently, you could choose all these little pictures to come for you, but currently it's set to a truck, a red truck, which is what you can choose. You could choose a black truck or anything. So those are the things that you can change. Alright, and screenshot is off, but if you turn it on, you can take pictures, you can take images of the screen of the specific area you're in. You can take screenshots of that specific area. Okay. Alright, so navigation is very important to set up correctly. Wrong setup will lead to disaster. So first, the calculation mode, route preferences, you need to choose one. You could choose faster time. It will take you to the through the route which is fastest. You could choose shortest distance. It will take you to the route which is the shortest distance, but it may not be necessarily the fastest because it could have multiple red lights through streets and alleys. It could have multiple stop signs, and although it's shortest distance, but it could take longer than if you go through a freeway, which is a lot longer distance but much faster time. And then off-road only if you have a vehicle that's capable of off-roading. So I recommend to choose faster time. Okay. Now, a vehicle, you have to choose the correct type of vehicle, because based on the type of vehicle, the GPS will calculate your navigation through specific routes that particular vehicle is allowed to go. For example, if you have a bicycle, the GPS will never take you to a freeway or a highway because bicycles are not allowed to go there. So it's very important to choose the exact type of vehicle you have. Okay, so now this is set up to truck. That's what we want to keep it there. Okay. And okay, avoidance is very, very important. Now this is set up to a truck routing, so I don't care about the traffic, but I do want to avoid U-turns, because when you have a semi-truck, how are you going to make a U-turn? There's no way you can make a U-turn with an 18-wheeler. So that's why you have to avoid U-turns. You don't want to avoid highways because the trucks are allowed in highways and freeways, so you don't want to avoid it. However, you do want to avoid unpaved roads. How are you going to take a semi-truck to an unpaved road, especially if the unpaved road has a dead end? You're going to be stuck. You don't want to go to toll roads. You don't want to go to ferries. You don't want to go to carpool lanes, because if you trucks are not allowed there to go to express lane. So that's that. So you have to avoid all those things based on the type of the vehicle you are driving. Okay, so attention tone is important. I like it to be on. Usually it's off, but I like it to be on. Attention tone. The GPS will remind you if there is anything, a danger or any type of thing. So it's good to have it on. And now if you go to attention tone, you want to say you want attention tone on guidance and status, or guidance only, or none. So we want it on both. Okay. Now we go back and set up Bluetooth. If you want to add a telephone, so you can reply, you can answer your calls and whatnot through the GPS, you can do that. So that's adding a telephone. Okay. Go back, and proximity point. Proximity point is very important to have, especially if you're doing truck routing, because this is custom points of interest in Garmin safety cameras. So these two things are on this GPS. So if you're about to drive through an intersection where they have a red light camera or speed camera, this will warn you, because that's set up to warn you. And points of interest, for example, if you have a semi-truck and there's like low clearance approaching, it will warn you so you don't have to ruin your truck. These are the things that it comes in handy, or truck stops and scale stations, weight stations and whatnot. It will warn you with those things. Okay? And leave it at autoplay, because you want it to beep on you when that special thing comes. Special volume. Okay, now this is the MP3 player volume. This is the navigation volume. You always want the navigation volume to override the MP3 player, because if you're listening to music, you want the navigation to be so loud to overtake the voice of that music, so you don't get lost. So that's good to leave this lower and that higher. It's very important to do that. Okay, so that's that. So we discussed everything here. Now we're gonna go to where to or how to navigate. Now if you want to go somewhere, you click on where to. This is where you click the address, you spell the state, spell the and whatnot. And let's say if I want to go to a place in Canada, which is a different country, see, there is no option to change the country, right? So that's why it's only states. You have to choose the state of that particular city you're going to in Canada or in Mexico. So let's say if I'm going to a state in Canada, let's say I'm going to Alberta. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put A, L, and there's Alberta, Canada. Now you can go to Alaska, you can go to Alabama, all the states that start with A. If you don't know the complete spelling of a state, just put the first letter. For example, just put R and Rhode Island comes right there. If you just put the C and hit done, all the states that start with C comes in the list, and then you can choose from there. Now, some of the states may not be familiar for you. That's because these are like in this state is in Chiapas and Chihuahua. These are the states in Mexico. That's why they are not familiar. The names are not familiar. So that's how you do it. And the next type of navigation is to go home. Now you have to enter your home address. This GPS is currently set up with nobody's home, so no home has been entered yet, but you can set it up. It will take you home. If you need to do like restaurants or food and whatnot, like special place, you click on food and lodging, and you could spell name, you could click food, you could fuel, bank or ATM, parking, entertainment, shopping. The list goes on and on to recreation, attraction, community, hospitals. All of these you can choose from the list. If you don't know the name of a place, you could click on this, and then you can click on spell name. Let's say you want to go to Starbucks. You click STARBUCS. Where is K? KS. Starbucks. Done. And there are the Starbucks near me. And then I could choose the Starbucks of my choice, and it will take me there. So you don't have to necessarily know the name. If I don't know how to spell Starbucks, for example, let's say I don't know how to spell it, then I put the first few letters. I put STAR and done. And then it will bring me everything that starts, Star Cleaner, Starbucks, whatever that starts with star. Okay, so that's spelling. Food, you just punch it in. It tells you what kind of food: American food, Asian food, Chinese food, whatever. And it will take you to the list of those places. Banks and ATMs, it's a no-brainer if you need to go. If you need to get a nap, take some rest in a hotel, this is your option. Shopping, this is your choice. If you need to look for a parking, this is your choice. Entertainment and whatnot. So that's basically self-explanatory. Recently found are the list of places you have been there before. So you click here, and currently, because this GPS has been factory reset, so there is no recently found, but usually it will be the list of places you've been to before. Favorites are usually Garmin USA, Garmin Europe, Garmin Asia, but you could also have your own favorites added to this list. This is default list of favorites that comes with every Garmin. Extras is something that you download from Garmin website if you want to have. It's not something that you normally get, but this extras on this truck GPS is custom points of interest, which is all categories like Burger Kings, campgrounds, RV parks, cat scale, scales where you could take your semi truck, all those things. Those are points of interest if you want to go to. Let's say if you want to go to see if your truck is breaking the law of maxed out on its weight and whatnot, then you go to extras and whatnot. Intersection is very important to go to if you don't have a specific address of a place, which is very common in Central American countries. They don't have addressing system like we do here in the United States. So what they do is they put the intersection name of one street and the second street. For example, they say Broadway and let's say Broadway and 4th Avenue. So you put Broadway and 4th Avenue in this city, and it will take you to that place. This is for cities. Cities, if you want to go to a specific city, you could punch in the name of that particular city and it will take you there. And browse the map means you click on this and then you look at the map and you choose a place from the map and you navigate to it. For example, watch this. If I'm gonna go somewhere, I'm gonna just look and search for a nice park, and I see this green beautiful park trail. I'm gonna click on it because I want to go there, and then I click go, and this will calculate and guide me to go there. Obviously I'm not gonna go there, so I'm gonna stop the navigation, but that's what that is for. Okay, and then coordinates is very important in foreign countries. In the US it may not be too important, but in most countries where they don't have addressing system, precise addressing system, you could punch in the coordinates of longitude and latitude and navigate to that place based on that. Now longitude and latitude could be north and south, east and west, and then you have to enter the numbers. If this is north, you enter the number, and west you enter the number. If this is not north, you could change it to south, or you could change this to east and then enter the numbers. So it's very important to have this function or this feature if you are outside the US, or if you're in rural areas where the addressing system are not very good, then you could go there by GPS coordinates. Let's say, for example, this is an example. If you're in the middle of a desert and you want to hide a treasure under a bush, you could lock in the GPS coordinates, and next time you could punch in that coordinates and the GPS will guide you exactly to that spot, even though there aren't any roads around that place. Okay, so coordinates are very good. Alright, so view map, I will show you the map which you could see, and then even with view map you could choose a spot and then go there. Like you could choose this and then say go. So that's another feature you have with Garmin Nuvi 660. Okay, the travel kit is pretty handy, but not every functionality is available. Like MP3 player, you could play songs.
Welcome to the Garmin Nuvi MP3 player. The preloaded audio samples have been provided by AudioLunchbox.com.
Okay, so that's preloaded. You can go browse, and then you could go to artist. You could, play a song like that and whatnot. So you could do the MP3 player. Audiobook player, you could play audiobooks. See, there's an audiobook. This is audiobook.
You know your Garmin Nuvi is a great way to keep you organized and on top of your world. But did you know it can also read you audiobooks and other programs by top authors like David Sedaris, Dan Brown, Bill Bryson, and more? Welcome to Audible.com.
Okay, so I need to...
enjoying a great book is as
this
easy
is too
as
loud.
turning
One
on
second.
your Nuvi and listening in. Solve a mystery while you work out at the gym.
Okay.
Learn a new language while you fly across the country.
So,
catch up with the New York Times during your commute.
okay, so that was too loud because the microphone was clipped on underneath the GPS, so that was too loud. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so that's audiobook. Picture viewer, you can punch in and look at different pictures that are loaded on the Garmin. I showed you that earlier when you were going to choose the screenshot. Calculator, simple. You could do simple math calculation. And language guide is something you have to purchase from Garmin if you want to. This is just like a introductory with limited capability. Travel guide, same thing, you can purchase. It has limited capability. And users savers guide. Savers guide is also something you could get information about where you can get deals and coupons. World clock, you punch in the country or city, it tells you what time it is in that particular city. This is set to Eastern time, but you could choose, different times. Okay. All right. So that's the travel kit. And then the brightness of the screen is adjusted here, and volume is adjusted here. And basically, that's all that's in there. If you want to see your satellite reception, you punch in here on this little signal bar. You keep your finger there, don't let go. And this is your satellite reception. Shows how many satellites you have and whatnot. Okay, so that's that. And basically, yeah, I hope this was something useful for you and you learned something from this. If you have any questions or if there's any comments, please let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.